It is now that time, Brian. It's put up or shut up time. We've got our predictions coming in. For me, this is going to sound similar to, I think, my rationale last week when it comes to predictions, but I have an immense amount of faith in the defense, and they proved me to be prophetic last week. I will give them all the credit because they were the ones doing the work. But I had faith in them last week. I will have faith in them moving forward in the defense, that they are going to come to play and that they are going to, make things happen on the defensive side of the ball. I love this defense. And so I'm not prepared to give a big number to any offense that they're going to play. And I was tempted to go a little bigger on the offense. I'm still hedging my bets a little bit until they can show me a little bit of consistency, scoring offensively. Look, they put up 41, but it wasn't from the offense. So
offense put up like what, 20?
Yeah. So I'm not quite prepared to go big for the offense just yet, but I think that there's some matchups, and we talked about them, that they can exploit on their offensive side of the ball. And if they can do some of the things that I'm hoping Tommy Rees does, and that Notre Dame can do, and the defense just plays the way they did last week. They don't even have to play as well as they did last week. If they just play their game next week or this week, I 24 might be big for Cincinnati. That might be too many. That really it might be. I think maybe I'm accounting for maybe like a pick six or something for Cincinnati to get up to that point, to be perfectly honest with you. So I have 28-24 Notre Dame winning. I have it as a close game. I just don't see this being a blowout in either direction. So that's my score, Brian. I will let you explain yours.
Can I ask you a question first on yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you see it being a legitimate close game throughout the game, or do you see it like Notre Dame takes a 28-17 lead and Cincinnati scores late? Or do you see this being a four-quarter back-and-forth affair that Notre Dame wins by 4?
That's a really good question. I look at this game, and the way I go about games is, when I'm watching it, do I worry that Notre Dame is going to lose? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to have that feeling, right? So the final score may be close, but I don't, like Wisconsin, I never got the feeling that Notre Dame was going to lose. Was I ecstatic when Chris Tyree brought the kickoff back?
Yeah. Because it was over then, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. But I never had the feeling that Notre Dame was going to lose. And I really get that emotion, that feeling about this game. I don't think Notre Dame is going to lose. I think the final score looks close, and I think people are going to be like, "Oh, it was such a close game." But I don't think I'm ever going to get the feeling throughout the game that Notre Dame is going to lose. And so I guess from your question, I think that Notre Dame will have a lead, and I think that Cincinnati may score late to make it closer. But I will never think that Notre Dame is going to lose. That's how I feel like this is going to go.
I see this as a game that we start to see Notre Dame start to click a little bit more. And you know what? The reason, honestly, Vince, it wasn't until I went back and broke down the Wisconsin game again that I started to feel like I was going to go and score like this. When I originally kind of kicked the week off, I was like, okay, it's going to be another close one. But when I look at what Notre Dame started to do in the fourth quarter, after Wisconsin took that lead, and I'm not just talking about the defense and pick sixes, I'm talking about the special teams making plays. I'm talking about the offense started to get a little bit of and they're playing a little bit more physical up front, Yeah. And it's not about Drew Pine. I mean, that's how people are going to spin it. But we saw a couple times during that game where they started to get a little hot, and they started to move people a little bit off the ball, and they started playing a little bit harder, where you're like, okay, they started getting the ball out quickly. And that was even the first field goal drive that they had. If they would have attacked in the red zone like they attacked getting to the red zone, that's 7-0 or 7. They take a 7-3 lead right there. So I just feel like it starts to click a little bit this game. I also think that Cincinnati will move the ball a little bit early, but I think the Notre Dame defense is going to hold them to field goals, and the Notre Dame offense is going to pull it away. Where I disagree with you, Vince, is I think Notre Dame can blow Cincinnati out. I just don't think they're there yet.
Okay.
I don't think that their offensive line is going to play to the degree that would allow them to blow Cincinnati out. I think Cincinnati's a good football team. I think they're more of a top 20-ish caliber team than they are a top 10 caliber team, in my opinion. And that's kind of why I have this as again, it'll be a battle. I think it's a game like I could see it like, Cincinnati, Notre Dame's up 20-9 and Cincinnati scores to make it 20-16 and Notre Dame responds with a touchdown. But I see it being a competitive game, but one that Notre Dame is clearly the better team.
Yes.
That's how I see it playing out.
I like that comment there. I think it'll be a competitive game, but Notre Dame's the better team and they show it with the final score. But yeah, it's just, I'm never going to get that feeling that Notre Dame's it'll feel like they're in control most of the time. And I think that's the biggest thing.
So that's our score predictions. So there's a little bit of news I wanted to announce.
Oh.
I just saw that Sam Spiegelman, who covers he's very tight end in recruiting in Louisiana and Texas.
Okay.
Just put out on Twitter that Walker Howard, a 5-star quarterback in the 2022 class, is visiting Notre Dame this weekend. He's committed to LSU. Yep, he's a 5-star quarterback, according to Rivals. I believe 247 also has him as a 5-star quarterback. I'm going to look that up now. But he is apparently, according to Sam, he has been in contact with Tommy Rees for a while. This is very interesting.
I thought they were set on quarterback with Angelique.
That's what I thought too. He is ranked as the number 23 player in the country in the composite rankings. He is from Louisiana. He is, as I said, committed to LSU. He has not made any fall visits this season to any other schools. So this is very interesting. I'm again, that's coming from Sam Spiegelman, who covers Louisiana and Texas for Rivals. So I thought that was very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So we get some chats out, some predictions out there. Is any Notre Dame fans picked Cincinnati yet?
Not that I have seen.
Okay.
And I'm kind of rolling through, but a lot of them have been by I've seen a lot of 31-21s. There, Nathan Lytle, he's got that. I've seen a lot of those.
Nathan was one of the guys that showed up at the to the tailgate against Purdue.
Oh, here we go. Kenny Moore, to beat Notre Dame, you have to be able to slow down our passing game, and Cincinnati has that ability. 21-17 Cincinnati.
I'd be a little surprised if Cincinnati scored 3 touchdowns against Notre Dame.
That
would surprise me a lot. It really would.
Yeah, I agree. That's the only one I've seen so far.
Kenny's always really fair though and objective. So I see where he's coming from, but I just feel like this is part of my prediction too in response to Kenny is I think that the line does play a little bit better this week. And I feel they're going to be ready for this game. I do. And especially with Cincinnati running. I mean, last week was kind of like a love fest all week. Paul Chryst, Notre Dame's so good and we respect them. And Wisconsin players handling like you'd expect them to handle it. We're focused on ourselves. There's, and then Cincinnati kind of comes out and it's like the little mouthy,
just like beating their chest, know, I mean.
It's like, is that for you or is that for Notre Dame? Like, I'm trying to figure out what you're doing. Is it you're just trying to convince yourself that you can actually beat Notre Dame?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
are you just that confident in yourselves? Like,
I'm glad you're confident. I'm also glad you said what you said.
Yes,
I'll just keep it at that.
Yes.